Deadly Tarantula Girl coming to you from Sanderson, Texas, in this beautiful jewel in the desert, the Outback Oasis Hotel. It is summer. Oh, it is officially summer. Summer just started. So it's the first day of summer 2020. I am east of Sanderson, Texas, which of course I'm staying at the Outback Oasis, owned by Roy and Ruth Ingeldorf, with the owner and operator, Mr. Roy Ingeldorf.
Hi guys.
How was that for an introduction?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It should actually be me and my wife. I always want her to get credit too.
So that's why I specified Mr. There is a Mrs. who is a beautiful and invaluable counterpart. They run this place together. I was wondering, so was it the Outback Oasis before you bought it?
It was still the Outback Oasis, and it was a motel.
Yes.
And we got it about 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. Kind of helped make it into what it is today.
So was it so lushly planted? I mean, there's a beautiful pond and a little barbecue area.
We've done some work. We've done a little work to make it more user-friendly.
Awesome. There's a massive century plant, which is the American agave, which has this incredible bloom on it right now. That's probably 30 feet tall.
They're big. They're big. And people call them century plants. And what'll happen is after they're planted, about 8 to 10 years, they'll grow that stalk. Then the main plant will die, but the little babies around it will live.
Pups.
So you can get rid of the main plant. You got babies to go all over again.
Yep. I was told that it takes them 100 years to mature and grow that stalk. That's why they call it a century plant.
8 to 10 years.
So, fun little folklore of the plant world in Texas. So they're really easy to keep here. Mm-hmm. And there's actually some big century plants at the little farmhouse I'm hoping to buy. So, fingers crossed for that one. I might be a Texan soon. Okay, so Roy's amazing. I mean, so right now you've kind of got a bit of this and a bit of that. Give us a quick rundown on your collection.
I've got, recently some Massasauga Rattlesnakes that I've been breeding. I have a friend of mine that gave me an albino Massasauga, and he said, I'm going to give you the female that goes with it. And I said, okay. As it turned out, they were both boys. So it was no wonder he couldn't breed them. But anyway, the albino was a male. And I acquired some females, started producing hets, and then eventually started producing the albinos.
Awesome.
So there's that. I got into the ball python thing, so I've got a number of ball pythons.
What's like your top 2 favorite? Because there's a lot of ball python fans out there.
Some new ones that I've produced from a clown stock from Casey Lazick, and I produced these 2 weird ones, and I'm like, Casey, what's going on here? And he's like, well, many, many moons ago, I acquired one, and we got some odd animals out of it, and we feel like it's got some type of a hidden gene that is causing these unusual looking animals. But
very cool.
If you like, I could show you.
I would love to see them.
Okay. Now, one of them had a little more of a pattern to it.
Oh,
and I sold it to Mike Breezy. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not a good time to show this. He has messed up. He's had a poopy head. But as you can see, the pattern is just almost not there. It's almost all yellow snake.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like
so
later.
Do you think...
But he's got a dirty head.
So do you think this animal and Brizzy's animal have the same genetics?
Yes.
That hidden gene?
Yes.
Gene?
Yeah, and like he was saying, he wanted the adults, which I still have. But it was just a pastel clown bred to a bumblebee het clown. That's all it was, and that produced this thing. And somebody said, well, that's a killer clown. Well, not in anything I can find, but if somebody can tell me that's a killer clown, then I'll have to go with what they say.
Well, but...
I'm no expert.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Anyway, this is one of my favorites. But it's things like this that make me keep going on some of this stuff that you never know what you're going to produce or what's going to come out.
That's one of the
kind of fun.
That's one of the exciting things about buying a ball python morph. Very often when you get into multi-gene animals, there's stuff in there that you didn't buy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That may pop up at some point and create something kooky.
Yeah.
Maybe something original.
I have a good friend of mine that owns a pet store, And I told him I had some normal looking animals, but they're double het for albino and pied. He said, I'll give you the price of a normal snake. He said, that's all I do with them.
Yeah.
He said, I sell stuff in here that is het for who knows what. And that, you never know what you're going to get with a ball python.
Oh yeah,
nowadays.
these pet store snakes are sometimes little treasure troves.
I know. I produced, let me put this up. A few years back, I bred a bumblebee pied to a normal pied. And I got 2 of these. They're called, well, at the time I didn't know what I had. I produced these all white snakes, didn't know what I had. So I gave Don Shores a call. I said, Don, I produced all these white snakes out of this litter. I got 2 babies that are totally white from pieds. He goes, oh, those are white weddings. And I'm like, what? I said, you know what? They're really running out of names to call these things. So.
Well, I'd say it's a nice day for a white wedding.
Nice day for a white wedding. Yeah. But anyway, that was just one of the things. And I kept a male back, and he's developed some little spots on his face, and so now I call him Freckles. I guess he is one of the few animals that I have that I actually named.
And that place is absolutely amazing. I definitely recommend it if you are in the area and you are snake hunting out in the desert. So tonight I'm looking for a couple of things, specifically Lamprey peltis alterna, the gray-banded king snake. So if you know anything about these snakes, you know that they are a nocturnal, crepuscular snake that a lot of times are found hanging out in rock cuts, which we are in the Permian Basin right now. And so these hills that were originally the ocean floor at one point in history, when they plow these highways through these little hills, it leaves these jagged shards of rock, and these alterna and other reptiles, rattlesnakes, then they like to hide in those little areas. So you have to wear a vest in Texas, that's the law. You have to have a native hunting license. Safety first, I'm wearing my vest. I have my work boots on and plenty of lights, and of course you always need to watch where you step. But let's go take a look at this beautiful rock cut right here. So you've been in Sanderson for 17 years, but you're actually a Kansas City boy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And don't you know another Kansas City boy that I know?
Yeah, I know several, but one good friend of mine, his name is Dana Savarelli, and he started up Midwest Custom Products, hooks and tongs and all kinds of handling equipment. But yeah, I've known Dana since he was in high school. Maybe even before, I don't remember.
Yeah, him telling it seems like he was pretty young, like maybe middle school age.
He was young, he was.
Tell us about this handy dandy grabber.
Well, it's kind of, it's a little mini tong type thing. I don't remember exactly what he calls this, but it's a very small tong. And
they had a clever name for it.
Yeah.
It's not a midget.
There was a tong originally called the Mighty Midget.
Yes.
That was produced, and the people who were making it decided not to make it anymore. And I talked to Dana about it and sent him some, and he's like, well, I could improve that. And he did, and he started reproducing this now. And he's got a really fine product here. And they come in small, medium, and extra large. But now anything Dana's ever gotten into, he's always done it whole hog. Always gotten into it, and man, he doesn't let go, whether it's animal equipment or rehabbing eagles or or monkeys. He does monkeys too. He's got a thing called Monkey Island where he does rescues for monkeys, which I just cannot imagine, but that's one of his things.
So we actually have an interview with Dana where he's got one of his primates in his lap, and so we'll link that interview below. But I think this was prototype number 1 for this little tiny tong.
Yeah, he actually gave this to me, and it's number 1.
Awesome.
And it's got a little bit of a weak spring to it. And
Yeah.
he said, send that back to me. I said, no, this is mine. I'm keeping this. I can replace that spring, not a problem.
So I think I got like number 4, and then he's actually updated this model, and
Yeah.
now they are mass producing them on the.
Yep, he told me he sent a whole bunch of them to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted them badly.
Yeah.
And it is a good product.
So this is the handy hook that I had with me
Yeah.
last night. This actually saved my life from an Atrox.
Ooh.
Not to say that rattlesnakes are aggressive or mean, but I had my boots on, but it was in my path, and so I was lighting my path, watching the wall. So you'll see footage of that. I was going to move the snake and bring it out on the road so you guys could see it, but that little booger was fast. By the time my nimble cameraman arrived, he was already getting off into the cut, so I kind of moved the brush, and we got to see him go into his den.
Yeah.
The rock cut, that
pretty
was
cool.
really neat.
I noticed too, that's what they call a stump ripper. That's quite a very,
Yes.
man, that's a strong product.
Mhm.
That's really good.
Yeah, so you can use this for lifting up,
Oh, it'd probably pick up a
boards.
100-pound rock.
Yeah, for moving stuff, so you're not touching it with your hands,
Yeah.
because if there's, something venomous under there, you always are in danger of
Yeah.
possibly being
Dana's
bit.
always told me, he said the products that he makes are like an extension of your own hand, an extension of your arm. And that's what he's done.
And of course, I keep my venom lock with me, as you know, or maybe you don't know. My producer got bitten
I remember that.
a few years ago by an Atrox, and I believe that venom lock saved his life. And I saw you've got one in your.
I do. I have
Yeah.
several down front that people can buy.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, definitely a good investment if you're living in an area with venomous snakes.
Yeah, and you're a long way from a hospital. So
True. So
always the trick is never get bit.
So you actually know Dana well enough that you kind of brought him, or helped to bring him in the reptile hobby when he was still growing up.
Yeah.
I've heard an interesting story from him about running an errand with you on a work day one day. Tell me your version of the encounter you had with an unusual customer, and you and Dana going to his house.
Well, I actually didn't go to his house, thank goodness. But there was a gentleman that ran around that turned out to be a serial killer. And I actually have some notes, and for trading a bicycle for some type of a boa, a boa. But anyway, and Dana had some contact with this guy too, and his name's Bob Rubella. And as it turned out, he was a serial killer, and he liked boys, and he would strip them, tie them up, and either turn his dogs loose on them, or he would inject them with Drano just to see what would happen. And the way he was caught was one guy got loose and got out of his 2-story house and was running down the street naked. And this is how the guy got caught. Dana called me one day and he goes, "Hey, I heard about this guy, Bob Rudell. Is that the same one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's the same guy." So he's like, "Yeah, he tried to get me to go over to his house one time, and at least that's the way I remember it." And he said I didn't go. He said, "I guess it's a good thing I didn't go over there." Yeah, you'd have been prime for him. He liked you.
Wow, scary.
Oh yeah, it's not good to
The
know somebody
reptile
who's done stuff
hobby
like
is
that.
filled with unique individuals, but most of them not serial killers.
No. Don't run into that very often. That's a good thing. I've known of several reptile people who have died, for other reasons.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of them are kind of have those thrill-seeking personalities.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And some that I'm surprised are still alive.
No kidding.
You did that and you're still alive? No.
Awesome.
Just crazy.
So we're here the next day, still in West Texas, and last night it was so dark. It was a dark moon out. I was afraid you guys weren't seeing anything, so I wanted to wait until daylight to show you this beautiful baby. So this is a Great Plains rat snake that I picked up just off one of the cuts last night, and she is super duper lovely. I'm gonna let her go on her way. And just wanted to make sure you guys were able to take a look at her.
Haven't slept for a week or two, and it all is breaking down on me. I pray for you to set me free. I don't know.
This is a black-tailed rattlesnake that has a brand new scientific name, of which is currently evading me. It is a species of Crotalus. And in alternate country, when you see a gray and black snake, you tend to want to look before you leap. But luckily I had all my gear last night, and when I saw this little baby, I was super duper excited. So I saw quite a few herpers on the road last night, and I know several of them were staying here. To me, there's a few little hotels here in Sanderson. This is definitely the best place to stay. All of your rooms are really nice, really clean, good sizes. I mean, there was a big bathtub in the room I was in, and doggies are welcome. My puppies are, two of my boy dogs are here with me. I've got Brutus and Cairo. Cairo just got his cast off 2 days ago, so he's having a lot of fun hopping around on
And the
three
horse
legs.
is recently shoed.
Yes, Brutus is freshly shod, so he was allowed to go into one of Roy's workrooms and go and play with the big boys.
Oh, such a friendly dog.
He's a good boy.
It's a good thing.
We will definitely link the contact info for the Outback Oasis, and it's definitely my top recommendation if you're going to be staying anywhere in this area. What would you say are the top 3 prize animals that people probably come here to look for? Alterna, of course.
Yeah, the gray-banded kingsnake, the milk snake, and copperheads. Those are a real pretty snake here, and lepidus, the rock rattlesnake.
There's also some beautiful inverts here as well. Moderatum are rumored to be in this area. Some beautiful centipedes, other tarantulas. So I think it's Aphanopelma hensai that's a little more common. We actually saw one just at the beginning of our night last night. So didn't you catch a little alternate just a night or 2 ago?
Yes, I did.
May we see
Yeah,
her?
we got lucky.
So people come here to find alternate and look and look. So the best place to look, I would say, is probably the rock cuts. Do you have any tips?
Yes, generally I try to go after these guys whenever there's a storm approaching.
Yes.
And the night that I found this, there was a storm down in Mexico, and you could still see lightning in the sky.
Oh, wow.
So to me, that's pretty important. But you can find these guys on a windy night, you can find them on a calm night, you can find them on a full moon, you can find them with no moon. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll be out looking all night long, and 2 o'clock in the morning, one of these guys will show up.
Wow.
So you just never know.
Have you ever seen one out on the road?
I have seen them on the road.
Okay.
Trying to get his little head to come out. Hers, turned out to be a female. There we go.
Wow. I just love hunting the rock cuts. It's so amazing. I mean, if you just think about the geologic history of the rock formations, it's just beautiful. It's incredible. Everything about Texas, pretty great.
It is, and one of the things that I tell people, Sanderson is located, to me, in the heart of the gray-banded kingsnake area,
Of course.
where they're found. You can find them from Del Rio all the way over to Big Bend, and as it happens, the ones here in Sanderson can be light-phased, they can be dark-phased, they can be alterna-phased, and any combination of those. They can be light, dark, this, that. They're just highly variable.
Well, that's the interesting thing about alterna is how much they vary specifically in
do.
this area. I mean, yeah, so she's an amazing animal. One thing I love about this species is just how diverse looking they can be.
They can be.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for letting us take time out of your day. I'm really glad that you guys are open during the pandemic. Did you close down for a while?
We did not have to close down. Fortunately, we had some railroad people here that stayed with us.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for that, we probably would have been in some trouble.
Yeah.
And now, we're full of reptile people.
Right.
The general public has stopped coming. We have had to cancel 6 different events. You know, needless to say, whenever they'll fill up a motel, that does hurt. but the reptile people are still coming, and I've always given reptile hunters discounts, so that's
Awesome.
always a good thing. And they always get late checkouts, of course, because they're up all night and type of thing.
Yes, and I want to give a big shout out and thanks to Nicholas O'Connor and his wife, who we met and ran into last night out of Dallas. So they were so cool. We were hoping to see some neat inverts, and so we were spotlighting. They stopped and visited with us, and then they were spotlighting, and we were kind of sort of headed back, and we stopped. And they were saying that they'd seen several Scolopendra, and so we're like, oh cool, you know, where at? And he's like, there's one right there! And so yeah, I actually collected that animal so you guys could see it. So this was very exciting last night. I want to thank Nick O'Connor and his wife for letting us cut in on their cut, and this was actually his find. So this is a Scolopendra heros. And it's very beautiful. This is a good medium size, but they definitely get large, and they even get extra large. This species can get very big. They are beautiful, amazing, and this guy was just crawling up and down the rock cut. We were talking to Nick. He said he had seen several, and we're like, oh man, I hope we find one. And then he was like, oh, there's one right there, and we caught it together, and he gave it to us. So that was super duper cool. Bucket list find in the wild. Big thanks to the O'Connors. Very cool meeting you guys. And it was just so much fun. So thank you so much to Roy and Ruth. I don't know, this place is a little slice of heaven to us. And so if you have not, there's so many people in the reptile world that have never gone out and seen stuff in the wild, and I think that's such a shame.
There's a lot of people who are what they call deli cup herpers. They go to a show, they buy an animal, and I've asked them, I said, have you ever been to where that's found? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, you've got to go. You've got to go.
Or they have no idea what country. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know that ball pythons are an African animal, and I mean, to me, I always want to know about the husbandry of an animal. I want to know about the naturalistic history. I want to know how they came into the hobby. That's another thing. A lot of the history of coming into captivity, that's a whole history in itself. Cool. We could go on for weeks, but we actually have to head back out of town. Thank you so much to Roy.
You're very welcome.
And always a blast here at the Outback Oasis.
Thank you very much.